Hey, on this episode of the Church Media Guys Show, we are going to be talking about our own live streaming setups. We're pulling back the curtain, and you're going to get to take a look at the stuff that we're doing to make all of this happen. Hey, everybody, my name is Dave, and if we've not met before, I am the founder of the Church Training Academy. I am the original church media guy, and then I put an S on it, and these two showed up. That would be my partner, Justin, and the new guy, Bill. Well, he's the lovely and talented Bill.
Yes.
Yes. Hello, gentlemen.
I bet Bill's going to own that because I will never own that.
That's it. Well, Bill and I are working on something for you, so. I'm just a Nova.
Nice try.
By the way, everybody, if you are interested in learning how to use and what did I say? It's like leverage media. Here's the official. This is the official thing. You ready? If you want to learn how to leverage media, amplify the gospel, and change lives, then start now by clicking the subscribe button and ringing the bell so that you don't miss anything like what we're doing right now. If you'd already done that, then you would already be here. You would be one of the, I don't know, a couple of dozen people that are sitting in here saying hi, like Valentine and Tommy and David Mullings and Luis and Anthony and Alex. And see, I beat you to it, Justin. How about that?
That's not. I don't like that.
Okay, I'm sorry, Justin. Who's joining us today?
A bunch of people.
He's playing the my video got locked up thing.
This is my angry face.
I'm just a Nova.
You can't do it, Dave.
Sorry.
You can't do it. Here's how you do it. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the chat, Tommy, Alex, Pete. Oh, look at my wife. Look at my wife, Kat, helping. Oh, got to tighten that up. Oh, we got to make sure that Catherine's Catherineing. Oh, my name's Dave Curley.
Wow. That was awesome.
I'm sorry for anyone who has high blood pressure. Dave took my bit, and now I'm salty.
Well, everyone, while Dave and Justin work on restoring their relationship, we do have some questions already.
Okay, let's throw a couple of questions out before we dive in.
Dave Mullings is saying, best starting hardware setup for mixer, camera, mic, just starting out for our church. Been doing it from a webcam and Yeti USB mic, but now need to go to the next level.
Can I
to which? Okay, so forgive us if we repeat things because I just see a question, I just answer it. David, I put links in the chat here, and maybe the other guys can expand. We did some starter videos where we go over video, audio, lighting for your church, and I linked those videos in there. It's 2 parts. So I highly recommend starting there if you like watching videos. Dave, what do you want to add to that?
Well, I was going to say, these are the ones that we've done over the last few weeks, right? The live streaming from home or live streaming from your office, that kind of setup. Was that right?
Yeah. Well, he said starting out for our church. So
right.
I'm assuming it's like the church and not the
yeah.
studio.
So I mean, the question I ask is, looking at what he's currently using, the question that I have is this for like one-on-one kind of preaching kind of thing. We're using a webcam and a Yeti. So I mean, are you like dragging a Yeti up to the pulpit and it's sitting next to the regular thing, or is it like at his desk, or is this for like doing announcement videos and other like communicative kind of things? If so, then those videos will point you in the right direction for that type of stuff. And the things that we talk about in those videos are they're applicable whether you're doing this like at your home office or at the church office or at the dining table or in a hotel room, or if you're kicking it up to we're building a video room. A lot of these principles are still the same in there. If you're looking at like live streaming, like more formal type live streaming and stuff, then you're going to have cameras in the back of the room, and you're going to be you already have a PA system, so you want to have something connected into that PA system. Ideally, like running out some subgroups from there, like the vocals are on an output, and the guitars are on an output, and the drums are on an output, so that you can then bring those into another mixer and then like mix them yourself to make sure that the balance is good for the recording, not necessarily for the people they're sitting in the pews listening to it. Guys, so those videos that Justin put a link to, and we'll have links to them, by the way, in the comments once this is trimmed and posted. those videos are basically how to get started doing live streaming from home. When everybody was trying to figure out how to do virtual church and then use that virtual church model in other areas, like doing an online Bible study or doing Zoom Bible studies and things like that. And what we're doing today is kind of an extension of that. It's how we're doing it here. Now, we're broadcasters, so we're doing, we do our own Zoom meetings and do things like that. But our show, this show that you're watching right here, this is what I put together for Justin and for Bill, for us doing this type of a show. Something similar I could be doing like out in my garage in the set that I have out there. So this is not necessarily directly applicable to your Sunday morning worship service live stream. This is for doing it in your office, doing it at your home, and kicking it up to the next level. Although some of the principles and stuff we're going to be talking about, some of the software and stuff is all the same. And depending on the cameras, they can be interchangeable, which is cool too. But this is in this type of a controlled little studio type setting. Wouldn't you agree, gentlemen?
Yeah, this is if you want to start your own home live stream. A lot of people ask me, what camera are you using? What microphone are you using? What software are you using? A little selfish reason for doing an episode like this is I'm tired of typing all those answers out. Instead, I want to just say, watch this video. So, but a lot of people are curious because, they see that it works for us and they want to do something similar, whether it be a YouTube devotional, YouTube Bible study. They just want to look better in their Zoom remote meetings with small groups. Those are all noble causes, and it just so happens that we're all on different levels as far as investment. Like you said, Bill's been doing this for a few months. I've been doing it for going on almost 2 years now, and you've been doing it since since George Washington was president. So
yeah, we live streamed the actual the end of the revolution.
Yeah, so
all the treaties and stuff.
Mention that, Dave.
Huh?
Don't say that. You're ruining our
hashtag cancel church media, guys.
And you mean pound sign?
Yeah, pound sign cancel church media, guys. So we have different levels of how much we've put into it as far as time and investment. So, whether you're just starting out and you got $100 or you got a couple $100 or you got a couple $1,000, our setups are kind of, proven, as you can see, and we hope you draw inspiration from it. And if you want to buy any of the equipment that we are using currently, we'll put links in the chat as the discussion goes on. So let's get started, and I want to start with Bill.
Yes.
Bill, let's go through your stuff, man. So let's run through our notes here. Bill, you've got a pretty simple setup, and I think I got a pretty simple one too. You're using a computer, camera, microphone, headphones, lighting, and software. So tell me about your setup here, or tell us about your setup. My computer is an iMac late 2015 Retina 5K 27-inch. But it's got a lot of memory. It's got 32 gigs of RAM right now, and it's the super fast 1867 megahertz. So when you are buying memory, always buy the fastest available, and buy a lot. It will always help in every scenario when it comes to video, graphics, etc. The processor is pretty standard, 3.2 gigahertz for that style or model of computer. The graphics also is not. When I bought this, did get a little bit of upgrade on the graphics card, but according to today's standards, it's pretty normal. It's only 2 gigs, so. But it's the AMD brand, which is always been a good graphics card. The interface I'm using is a pretty cheap one, but it does the job. It's a Behringer Euphoria UM2. I'm using the built-in camera, but one thing people don't know is that when you're using your built-in camera, it will not always do HD. You actually have to go and adjust the settings to make sure your camera is set to HD when you're doing any sort of streaming. So always make sure that if you're going to use your built-in camera, most Macs, I think pretty much all Macs for several years now have been HD capable. You just have to make sure you go in the settings and make sure it's turned on. The microphone I'm using is a pretty cheap one. It's Proline, but I will soon be getting a Shure 58 SM58 microphone of choice. And then my headphones are Beats Studio 3.
whatever. They're cool headphones. I like them. Lighting is the light that Dave just sent me, the Viltrox VL500T, which I think we talked about in our lighting episode.
Yes.
And then I'm using OBS and Skype. So yeah, pretty straightforward, simple setup, but it works. Especially if you're doing teaching Bible studies, this would be perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
And not much money.
And the system that you have is actually good for doing editing, and that computer is actually installed in a lot of churches still today, running ProPresenter 6 or 7 stuff. So it's a good all around machine. It's good for editing. It's good for graphics. It's good for live streaming. It's good for stuff like this. You're not gonna do like super duper heavy live streaming. He's not gonna have like 5 Thunderbolt cards connected to it or something, and trying to do all that sort of stuff. But it's a beefy little system that is getting the job done really good. And we'll be doing some upgrading to him. He will be jumping up to like using not using his FaceTime camera, but using like a Vixia or a DSLR or something like that, to get a much cleaner, better looking image.
Mm-hmm.
But Bill's knocking it out of the park with a minimalist setup, which is working out really well for him.
Yeah, he's using a computer that's going on 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's using and it's not simple as in cheap, but simple as in it does a job, and it does a job good.
Right.
Audio interface. He's using a very basic mic, but with some practice on placement and speaking and EQing, it sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
He's using Beat Studio. We'll forgive him on headphones, but we'll forgive him on that. I know people will get mad at me for the monitors that I use. And then the lighting, I think, is fantastic. That's I got one as well, right? That's what I
same one.
I have
and I'm using it here
for my field work stuff. So altogether, $150 about. You can get started and look just as good as Bill. I mean, no one can look like Bill, but they can look just as good as the famous
especially
Bill,
the girls. They a handsome woman.
So yeah,
wow.
so I think that's
now
really
I'm a bearded lady. Thanks.
Yes. This sideshow brought to you by Church Media Guys.
I think Gravity.
This is the greatest show.
I think Gravity is greater where Bill is, because the hair just kind of seems to be pulled down a lot farther. But
makes me
I think
big.
I think and I think and I say this with all respect, if you're bald, you got to go over the ear headphones. Mm-hmm. That's the look, man. That's it. That you look so cool. I really like it, and I'm not joking about that. Dave, my setup is next.
Okay.
But first, you want to tell them we get a lot of questions about how to stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. You want to tell them how we do it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What we're using is Restream, which is it is a intermediate between you and the streaming platforms that you want to do. A lot of the computers that we have, especially if we're using a higher end computer, we've got the power to stream to multiple destinations, but like OBS doesn't have it built in. So you put in the one server that you're going to go to on OBS. vMix, which I'm using here and I use at the studio, if we want to stream to a couple of different places, vMix at various levels, depending on which package you have, allows you to do that. You can put in your Facebook credentials, you can put in your YouTube credentials, and then your system is going to do an encoding and streaming session for one, doing an encoding and streaming session for the other, and then if you're recording, then you got another encoding and streaming session. So, like I say, you got to have a beefy system that can handle doing all that cleanly without overloading your CPU and your GPU and et cetera, et cetera. Plus, you've got to have an internet connection that is like really solid and really good, because if you're sending like 4 megabit show up to each one of those, right there's 8 megabits that you're going up. If you have a 10 megabit connection, it could start to get a little dicey if the guy next door starts watching something or playing Fortnite or something and going crazy and just eating up the bandwidth of your neighborhood and stuff. So we like to use Restream. If you go to getrestream.com, you can get a $10 credit when you sign up. What Restream lets you do is basically just put a single stream out from your system, and it goes to Restream, and then at Restream you can then connect the various platforms. And it's not just two. I mean, you can connect I mean, literally anything that, if you can get an RTMP server going, you can actually plug that in. So you can connect your Facebook, you can connect YouTube, you can do Twitch, you can do Twitter, Periscope, you can do services I've not heard of before. You can go in and put in, an RTMP stream to the server you have running in your closet, in New Mexico. I mean, just whatever. It doesn't matter. You can do it. It's really cool. We're using it actually for this show, even though we're not streaming to another platform. So I've got it set up where I can toggle on Facebook, toggle on YouTube, and toggle on the Facebook page as well as the Facebook private group. So I mean, I could do 2 Facebooks and 1 YouTube. I just got to throw the toggle switches. But we're growing our YouTube channel, so we're only streaming to YouTube. But we just keep going through Restream because it's solid. It's really good, and it's very affordable. I mean, we're talking we're spending like $20 a month. So go check it out. Get Restream.com, and we want to thank Restream because they're like helping us do this show, and that's very, very awesome.
Toxic Biowolf left a chat here that I don't understand. He said, why not just use Restreamio to OBS and do the same thing?
I think he's thinking
that
backwards.
Doesn't make sense to me.
He said Restreamio to OBS.
Restreamio?
I think he may be meaning OBS to Restreamio, and that's the thing. Restream is a platform that is sitting, on a server somewhere, and I can stream to Restream or I can stream to YouTube. I stream to Restream and then have it syndicate to my other platforms. Yes. And you can do that from within OBS. In fact, I do that on Wednesdays with our pastor when we do we're doing our Heaven Bible study. And so I actually logged into Restream on OBS, and it actually brought up a couple of Restream panels, which is really cool. The chat panel, and it brought up the panel that lets me toggle the different services that I want. So I don't even actually have to go to the Restream website. I can do it from panels inside OBS. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
And if they sign up, guys, y'all get a $10 credit. So, I mean, do it.
Yeah. Real quick, too, a couple questions here. Valentine had a question. Again, I don't get it. On live streaming sound, Dante or NDI? Okay, so those are 2 different things. Dante... So I was okay that I didn't. No, you're fine. That's okay. And listen, there's a lot to get confused about with all this sort of stuff. So don't worry about it. What we always say, guys, that the only dumb question is the one that you don't ask. So I mean, because that's the one you'll never get answered, right? So the Dante is like a little language that will allow audio devices to talk to each other. So like we have a big digital mixer at our church, and then we have another digital mixer, and we use a Dante interface to let those 2 talk together. You can also, like with Dante, you literally like open up your mixer and you put a card, you plug in a module into it, and you could actually like take just like an RJ45, a regular network cable, Cat6 cable, and run that out into like a USB device that then plugs into a computer. And that brings in all kinds of stuff, all the different audio channels and stuff. Or you could go to another Dante card or interface in another mixer. It's cool because it lets that primary mixer bring in all the sound, and then you can do stuff that you need to do on that primary mixer for like the house. But then all those channels can go out over to another mixer and get mixed for the live stream. Now, NDI stands for Network Device Interface, and that's basically a way of using your network, your existing network infrastructure, to send a high-quality HD or 4K video and audio. So I could like take a camera if it has NDI capability, or if it is connected to an NDI converter box, and I plug my HDMI into that box, and then I take that box and plug it into a jack in the wall instead of running a cable all the way back through the auditorium or something. I can just like plug it into the network, in a closet, sort of just run it out the door and into the closet or what have you. And it's really cool when it's set up right. You get like no lag. Everything is great. You can like remotely control if you're using PTZ cameras and stuff. You can like remotely control them over all that. I mean, it's really cool. But they're really 2 different things. So most of the time,
in an ideal situation, you're actually using both. One for audio and then one for remotely deploying cameras. Or computers that are maybe sending a video signal over, like we use it with ProPresenter at our church. We have an NDI signal that is generated from within ProPresenter, and then I bring that in as an input on my TriCaster.
Awesome. And then, Dave, you might have to do some research while I take my turn going to the studio.
Okay.
Peter wants to know SDI to HDMI converters. Any recommendations?
Yeah, I'll toss a couple of links in the chat here, and we need to be sure that I'll drop them in our notes, guys, so we can add them to the kit.
Cool. And Gordon's here from Sweet Valley Church of Christ. What is up?
Hey,
Glad
Gordon.
you're here. Glad you made it to the show. So we'll go through my studio here. And like I said, I've been doing this for a couple of years, and I basically didn't buy anything here. Everything here is pretty much a gift, a Christmas gift from Dave, my parents, my wife. It's just all I asked for is streaming equipment. So I've built this up over a few years, but I think if you were to put everything together minus the computer, you're looking at just a few $100s. So first, let's start with the computer. I actually run 2 computers, and I'm scared to take my camera off the tripod because I have a very tight setup here. But I have a computer right here in front of me. That's my newest computer. It's a 2017 iMac, 17-inch, because 27-inch is just way too big for the smallest space. That's just me. 17 inches perfect. It is an i5 and it is 32 gigabytes of RAM. This computer here I got basically off. I went to Best Buy because we like getting the Best Buy points for our family, and said I need the beefiest iMac you have, and this is what they had. This is what I would call an off-the-shelf Mac. I did not customize it. I did not buy it through Apple, and I regret it because this Mac, I have another Mac over here up to my right side. I am running Windows Boot Camp on it. So I have a Mac computer and a PC basically, and I'm using Synergy to share my mouse. So it's almost like having an extended desktop, and it has shared copying and file sharing. It's an amazing setup. So I always have something with me that'll run something. But this computer here, I got in 2011. It's a 17-inch iMac. It's an i7 with 16 gigabytes of RAM. And let me tell you, the 9-year-old i7 16 gigabyte RAM computer streams a lot smoother than this newer 3-year-old i5. I did not know that was how important it was. So when Dave says get an i7, I'm telling you, get an i7. This one, I'm not sure what it does, but this one is also the older one is an i7 2.8 gigahertz. The new one is the i5 3.4 gigahertz. And I thought, well, that's fine. It's more gigahertz, so it'll be fine.
Nope.
No, it has to do with how it's threaded or layered. I don't know all the techno
It's
mumbo
the threads,
jumbo.
baby.
Make sure you get an i7. So people also say, can I stream with this 5-year-old laptop? If it has an i7, it'll definitely stream better than if it's an i5. So
Yeah.
Don't worry too much about age. Don't worry too much about even RAM, because 16 RAM streams a lot better on an i7 than 32 on an i5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's about as techno-y as I get. But
I'm just a
I love the
Nova.
Mac environment.
Sorry.
I like Dave's practicing his impression of me. I like I like the iMac 17-inch. If I had a lot more going on, I might get a bigger screen, but it's a good size for me because I have it so tight. As far as the camera, there's 2 cameras that I use. My main one I'm using now, thanks to Dave, is the Canon HF R800. This is kind of the go-to budget. Excuse me, it's Canon Vixia HF R800. This is our go-to budget one. You can get the camera itself for about $200, $220, or you can get a kit, which is what I linked to, for about $300. And the kit will have the card, the tripod, the case. I think the case is very important. This camera, I'm only doing a basic setup here. I haven't gone into much just to Dave's dismay. I haven't gone into the manual settings and really tweaked it. But what you're seeing right now is just really well lit, crisp camera straight out of auto. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying what I see. I got it on a mobile setup here so I can take it on other places as well. Before that, I was using a Logitech C920 webcam, and just the difference between the two, if you go and watch our old recorded videos, not so much the live stuff because the internet stream can get in the way of quality, but if you watch our recorded videos, you'll see a difference, a big difference. And so right now, those Logitech cameras are running $200 if you can find it. Spend an extra 30% and get a real camera that is going to be more expandable and you can take out in the field outside of your stuff. I really, really like that card. And then also, excuse me, I like that camera. Also, to connect it to my Mac, I'm using the WinStar budget capture card, which we have a video to, but I'll just link to the actual card. It's awesome. It's just this little dongle. You plug in from the camera to the iMac. It does its job. It does it well. Haven't had any issues with it. I strongly recommend it because you can still find them easier than like the Elgato capture card. So I really like that. My favorite part of this setup, and speaking from experience, when Dave's the hero here. When Dave says get a regular microphone, it's night and day what you can do with a regular microphone versus a USB microphone. So I'm using the Audio-Technica here M8000. So that's what this is. It's a dynamic hypercardioid mic. Did I say that right, Dave?
Yes, you got it.
Good. So this was a gift from my father for a Christmas gift. But it's dude, for a $30 mic, holy cow. I mean, it's just so good. And it is a regular mic, so you need an XLR cable. Don't try to convert it to USB. Those cables are shady at best. Get an actual USB audio interface, and that's what I'm using here. That is the Q802 USB by Behringer. Let me put the link in there. In here, it's a little bit harder to find, again, because everyone's streaming right now, but this is basically a little mini 6-channel mixer that you can mix. So I just have my microphone going into the mixer. I've EQ'd it. It has a compressor built in. That's the most valuable part of this thing, I think. And then also I can use it to run double duty. I can plug my phone into the mixer and run my phone audio if I wanted to. And I also take my electric guitar because I don't have an amp. So I actually take my electric guitar, plug it into the USB mixer, and then I use GarageBand as my amplifier when I really want to play guitar. I just don't have an amp because my old one broke and I just never replaced it. And I always played at church, so I didn't really need an amp. We went direct. So I really enjoy having this here to run multiple duties. And I just cannot believe I used to ever go live with a Yeti mic that went straight to USB. You just don't have the flexibility there. So I'm really enjoying this. So I really encourage you also get a regular microphone, and this M8000 for $30 is just, you can't beat it. I don't think you can beat it. When I'm on the go or when I'm here in the studio, I use it for monitoring. But when I'm on the go and doing like a live from my computer or my phone, I use this as my microphone too. I'm using the AirPods Pro. I'm not an Apple fanboy, but I enjoy Apple a lot. They have their problems, but I am sucked into the ecosystem, and most days I don't mind it. I love the AirPods Pro specifically because of the noise cancellation. It's really good. I have the big Bose QC noise canceling over-the-ear headphones. These AirPods do about 80% of the job, and they're in-ear. I enjoy it because I can just put one in. I hate having both in when I'm in the studio, and so the fact that I can take one out wirelessly, and then hey, when that runs out of battery, like on a car trip, I take it out, I put the other one in. I really enjoy that convenience. So AirPods Pro, that's what I use, and of course you have the easy switching with Max. Now this is where it gets controversial because my family is a Bose family.
Aww.
We have Bose up the wazoo in this household. We have Bose computer speakers, Bose TV speakers, Bose computer speakers connected to our bedroom TV. My wife has 3 pairs of Bose headphones. I have 2 pairs of Bose headphones. One that I use for travel, that's Bluetooth right here. So if I wanted to look like Bill, these are the headphones I would use. And then I have an older pair of Bose QC headphones that I use just for gaming that I plug into my Xbox. But so people are like Bose. I get it. I do the same thing to Beats headphones, but I like Bose. I like the technology. I like the ingenuity. I like their innovation. The price tag is expensive, but we're sold. So I think I buy my wife Bose headphones every year for something. Oh yeah, and we also have Bose wireless speakers all around the house. But I'm using the Bose Companion 2 desktop speakers. You can find these at Target. And that's you can find them in most places. They're about $100, and again, I hear, oh, you can buy some blah 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 speakers for the same price at 40 or same quality for $40. I know, okay, but I like the Companion 2 speakers. They're nice, they're bassy, they have great sound, they don't take up a lot of space. I actually have the older Series 1 speakers. They're up to Series 3 now, but that's what I use for monitors. And I just, it's a little bit off the shelf because you can find them anywhere, but they are a little bit more expensive. But that's what I use for my monitors. If I don't use my headphones, I use those. It's a really great thing. As far as lighting, I use the light that Bill mentioned earlier for my Go stuff. But in the studio, I have soft boxes, 24-inch professional light boxes, 700-watt bulbs inside. They are, what's the opposite of incandescent? LED? It's not LED.
LEDs are CFLs.
CFLs. They are CFLs, so I am not sweating. I am not hot. I strongly recommend them. As far as lighting for $70, $80, $90, depending on the model you get, I'm really enjoying these. I had these also in the studio when we did video announcements at my church. They don't get hot. They're really bright. They're really soft. They're really even as well. I'm really, really liking them. And then as far as software, for my camera, I use an app called Webcam Settings. It's in the App Store. I'm not sure if there's a Windows equivalent, but I can actually fine tune my webcam inside of there. And if I don't want to reach over, if I need to make a quick adjustment, like if a light goes out and I need to adjust stuff, instead of reaching over and trying to finagle on the camera, I can actually just real quickly edit settings here on my computer as a quick stop. So I really enjoy that app. It's in the App Store. It's called Webcam Settings. I think it's like $7. And then the last thing is I use, when I stream, I use Ecamm Live. It's Mac only, but it's super simple. You can have, they have boxes and windows that you can hide and show. It's an app, so it's fast. You don't have to go through the browser, and they are constantly updating. It's a really great team. You would think that it's a team of like 150, 200 people working on this piece of software, but it's like under 20. They are so passionate about what they do, and I like supporting the underdogs. So I like to, figure out what other people aren't using and, discover it for myself. It's really click and play, plug and play, whatever you want to call it. Works with most cameras. You can even use Canon cameras without a capture card. Save a couple bucks there. It's very affordable. And for what it is, I mean, the features just keep coming every month. Every time I open it, there's an update with new features that I can't wait to try. Ecamm Live, I really like that. And getecamm.com is our affiliate link. If you use it there, you support us and what we do. So
absolutely.
I haven't looked at the chat during the last 10 minutes while I'm talking. I hope that's okay. And I wish I could move my camera around. I didn't get to set that up to actually show you stuff. But I'm really excited for all this stuff here.
Yeah, and
I think the only thing I bought myself was the tripod.
Right. And your game has gotten up. I mean, if you guys go back and find, we may throw it in the description if we can find it.
September 2018 is when I joined church. 2018 or 17?
I don't know.
2017, I think. September 2017, if not September 2018, was when I first joined Church Media Guys. Go watch our YouTube videos from then.
And
man,
that
there was like a closet and curtains and a workout bike behind me. Oh, it was nasty.
Yes.
Nasty. And a Yeti mic that I still have sitting on the floor right there.
So just in the questions, you were talking about in the questions, Valentine wanted a clarification. We were talking about the NDI versus Dante. He says you can use NDI to send audio over network, but I reckon from your answer that you recommend using Dante. So as far as I know, NDI is not going to be sending over like multi-channel, like 32 different instruments that you can then mix separately, which is why you would want to use Dante. The idea for what we do, guys, doing live streaming at our churches, we have a PA system. We have a, we've got our sound guy sitting here, and he's, got a headphone in one ear to make sure he's hearing, who's coming through and stuff, but he's listening to the room, or she's listening to the room, and they're, adjusting the levels. The drums are too loud. I'm going to pull them down a little bit, which means there may be hardly any drums actually going into the system because the drums aren't in a drum cage and the room is just, reverberating like crazy with drum sound. However, for you and I doing the live stream mix, we need to hear those drums. So we're going to take that signal and we're going to pull it up. We don't want to mess up his. So when you have a Dante type system or MADI, M-A-D-I, which is actually what we're using at our church right now. We'll be upgrading as we get a new soundboard and stuff. We'll be moving over to like an all Dante system. But the idea is to send like channel for channel. You've got multiple outputs, and especially on these digital systems, I mean, some of them, dude, you can put up 128, 256 different outputs and stuff. So you could literally send every single mic, every single input going in, all those sliders and stuff on your board being matched over to the other thing, but you can mix them yourself and he can mix them himself. And now, I mean, think of it as a gigantic Y splitter type situation. But it's really cool. And Dante lets you take all those inputs and like bring them into like Pro Tools or Ableton or something like that and do it all digitally if you want to, like on a Mac sitting next to it. I like to have my fingers on the sliders. Makes it it's more kinetic and lets me kind of ride things organically. So yeah, 2 different tools, 2 different situations.
Luis also said, "Don't feel bad. I'm using my birthday, Christmas, and Father's Day to get my stuff too."
Oh yeah, we all do.
I don't feel bad at all.
No.
I'm using my as we tell people, you're using your support group, right?
That's exactly right.
You have you have people that support you emotionally. How about they support you financially by giving you Christmas stuff? I mean, who needs another bowling ball?
Yeah.
Personalized, branded bowling ball.
A quick shout out. Right. A quick shout out to my son who's in the chat, Griff.
Hey, Griff.
And also going along this train of what is it?
Stream of consciousness.
Stream of consciousness. Half of the crap that I'm using. Can I say crap on this channel?
Sure, of course.
Is that wrong, Dave?
Say whatever you want.
Half the crap I'm using on this channel is been purchased by my son who wanted to get into podcasting.
Right.
So, guys, I didn't even buy half the stuff I'm using.
Yeah.
So but it's still good stuff.
Exactly. A lot of mine came from a studio. I'm still using old GeekBeat equipment here. In fact, I'm talking to you on a nice little piece of old GeekBeat. See, this is a 10-year-old camera. Let me go over my system real quick. What I'm using. First off, my wife just said, "Oh Lord." All right, everybody, sit down.
The moment you've all been waiting for.
Yes. Basically, I've got 2 systems going on here. I've got a Hackintosh that I've put together, which is it is classified. I think the Hackintosh, it's like classified as a late 2013 Mac Pro. I think that's how I have it being registered. But basically, the process it's an i7. It's a i7 8700 series. It's a 3.7 gigahertz quad core, 6 core. I think it's a 6 core system. I've got 32 gigs of RAM. I've got a couple of SSDs in here. The system drive is a NVMe, which is like one of the sticks, the kind that like mounts down inside your motherboard, versus like the one that looks like a regular hard drive kind of a thing. Which I do have some of those in there as well, and I've got some other hard drives. I've got some Western Digital drives that are in here, and I've got a Drobo 5C with about 8 or 9 terabytes worth of storage on it, which is like my bulk storage here for here. And I've got a network attached storage device. I've got a whatever it's called, I can't remember. It's a TS470 QNAP. TS470, and it's attached to the network, so like all the stuff in the house can use it, and that's like my deep storage stuff. Anyway, and then the other computer, and this one I'm sitting on. In fact, I'll show you. Cam 2, there you go. This one I'm sitting on. I just recently upgraded the monitors here. This is a 32 inch or 36. It's a 32 inch curved ultra wide. It is not a 4K. I didn't want to squint. But it's like 1080 by like 2160 or something like that. But it's curved. It's ultra wide. My timeline usually sits on here when I'm editing. And then this one is a ViewSonic. It's a 32 inch, I think, or 27 inch, something like that. It's a 4K, and I've got it mounted vertically. And so like when I'm editing in Photoshop or when I'm editing in Adobe Premiere, like in Premiere, I'll have my timeline sitting right over here, and I'll have like my bin, like with all my assets sitting right here. But then all my other panels are over here. So I have the source one. I've got all my color correcting over here. I've got Justin's. I've got the effects panels. I've got like the preview panel takes up a big swath right here in the middle, right at eye level, so I can see it. And then I've got other panels and stuff right here, audio meters and all that kind of stuff, all happening right here. So it's a really nice layout for doing that. And I mean, as you can see, I've got my browser sitting right here. I've just got a lot of real estate, so I really like doing that. Now, the other computer I'm using, let's see if I can get up to it. that's the monitor for it. It's actually on the floor, but it is a Mac Pro 5.1. It's a 4.1 that I did the BIOS update on, and it is circa 1997. It feels like it's circa like 2010, 2011, something like that. And it is basically running Boot Camp. So I've got Windows 10 running on it, Windows 10 Pro, whatever. It's got 24 gigs of RAM. It's got like a Radeon 570, I think, on it. Anyway, it's got, at the time when I was upgrading it, there was only 2 or 3 AMD cards that would natively work in the Mac Pros, so I put that one in there. But it's working out really good. It is a quad. No, it's like a quad core system. It's a Xeon quad core. So it's got 4 quad cores. It's got 16 processors basically built into it. And it's a little workhorse. It's great. It's starting to get kind of long in the tooth. So, over the next 6 months or so, I'm probably going to build like an AMD, Ryzen 7 system to replace it. And then this one will get, like moved out to the garage and used for something out there or whatever, or be used as a backup live streaming system, if I need one. Anyway, but it's a really good system, and that's something I want to encourage you guys on. Is you've got some of these old Mac Pros and old systems sitting around. Some of these things can be repurposed if you do them right. They can be repurposed for other things that on here I'm not streaming 1080. I'm doing a 720p stream. And I've got a lot of inputs going in. I've got 2 cards going into there, so 2 capture cards. I've got several NDI sources coming in and stuff, so it's able to handle it. The processor is at 25%, and the GPU is at 22%. So I mean, it's enough overhead to do what I need to do. Let's see. As far as the camera goes, like I said, I'm using an older camera. This one, if you can see, it's kind of hard. But this right here is my Canon XF300. We got it in 2010, I believe it is, when we were starting GeekBeat TV back in the day. It's a 3-chip professional camera. And camcorder is like the little palm type things. This is a professional video camera. This is actually the one that for years the BBC was standardizing as part of their field kits. So when you would see someone reporting, in the field for BBC or BBC World, they were using these cameras as part of that kit. And it's a really good camera. I mean, my image looks really good, right? One thing I did with this is, since I have the 2 computers here, I've got an HDMI splitter, and it's a powered one. So I have the HDMI coming out of this camera, and it goes into the little splitter box. Signal is amplified, and it goes into a capture card on my Hackintosh, so that I can be talking, doing an OBS stream or doing a Zoom meeting or whatever with this really good camera versus my webcam. And then it also goes into the streaming system. So right now that signal is being split and doubled. So each system is getting it as a source video, which is really cool. Again, that's the type of setup I'm in here. I've got an editing system. I've got a streaming system. When it comes to the like right now, this camera, while it's a really good camera, is old, so you're going to be buying refurbished ones if you do. Really? Someone's calling me? I'm live and they're calling me? Come on. Come on, Jason, you know better than that.
They're not subscribed with the bell.
I know.
He needs to subscribe with the bell. They didn't get notified.
That's right. Got to do it. So, okay, seriously, Jason, no. That's funny. I haven't actually had that happen in the middle of a thing. Oh my gosh, he's in the middle of setting something up. You guys have to talk for a sec. I have to troubleshoot something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so AV Educate. So yeah, you can come to me and I'll explain kind of where you're going with the camera. So let me address AV Educate first. Which, by the way, what's your name? I'd love to know your name. So like Dave said, he's using the Canon XF300, which if you could try to go find it right now, again, you're only really going to find that refurbed. And even then, it's older, right? There's going to be a lot of maintenance that you're going to have to trust that that camera underwent. So a good alternative, let me put it in the chat here, a modern equivalent, I should say. It's not an alternative. It really is a modern equivalent, is going to be the Sony a6400. And you're going to want to put a Sigma 16 millimeter lens on it. That's going to get you the screen that Dave has there, where you can kind of see everything clear around him. And I'm not sure if it's a wide angle, but the A6400 mirrorless. I'm not a Sony camera guy. I've just been burned too much in the past with Sony's proprietary equipment. You used to have to get their special memory card, and you can never find a universal charger for a Sony camera. I know they're fixing that stuff, because the latest Sony Handycam I used an SD card, which thankfully. But does anyone remember what their proprietary memory card was? It's not off the top of my head. Bill, do you remember?
No.
It was the Pro something,
sorry.
Pro Stick or something. Anyways. But the A6400, the Sony A6400, it's a really, really good multi-use camera. And the fact that it's mirrorless makes it great for live streaming. So I put that link down there as well. Bill had a really good question. Not you, Bill. Bill Brander in the chat. He said, you have, Dave, has a lot of real estate available. What about churches who have only one PC? Is there any hope for them? Of course there's hope, Bill. Like I always say, there's a budget, okay? There is a year coming, provided Jesus doesn't come back. You need to work your way into the budget. And if you don't believe me that your church doesn't have any money, my question is always, what happens if your AC goes out tomorrow? Or if it's in the winter? What happens if your heater goes out tomorrow? Are you saying you're not going to find $4,000 to fix it? If it keeps breaking, you're not going to find $15,000, $30,000 to replace it next year. There's money there. There are people that will support the church. And if you cast your vision properly and communicate it well, there's money there. There's money available. So yeah, there is always hope. I never believe that a church is hopeless to expand. You can even go to your Goodwill. You don't have to get a 47-inch 4K monitor. You can go to Goodwill and grab a little cheapy Dell if you have the old VGA output on your computer. If not, you may have to be a little bit more picky. But just to have, it doesn't have to be HD quality. Just to have the monitor of, is the audio clipping? What does the final source look like as it's going out to the camera? What do my individual windows look like? You're not going to be fine-tuning color correction on it. You're not going to be doing too much of the fine-tuning stuff. But if you need a preview, you can absolutely find a monitor at Goodwill for $15-20 at a bad price and get it and bring it to your church. And there are plenty of people that will just buy that for the church and just bring it. Hey, keep your eye out if you see this. Like I said, I'm using, as a second monitor / computer, I'm using a 9-year-old Mac. And it's just the computer I used to have. A lot of people are rotating computers. A lot of people are donating computers to their schools, donating computers to other families, and they're taking their computers to Goodwill. So if you just put the charge out there, hey guys, if you have any older equipment, I wouldn't even say computers, I would just say older equipment, let me take a look at them. You may be able to take parts out of it so that they become your off-the-shelf parts. They become your backup parts. I don't think you should have a closet full of equipment that you always have to hoard and be scared of possibly having to use. But it's good to have a backup computer. It's good to have a, worst case, you have a laptop that you use for emergencies, but you can give it to the youth to go take on youth camp, and they can edit videos that they do on their phone on the computer. There's a lot of stuff you can do. You are not hopeless. So if you don't have the real estate there, as if you're using one computer like I am, you're not hopeless. You can find that equipment used, refurbed, whatever, at your Goodwill from donations. You just have to, not to sound hippy dippy the secret, but you have to put it out there, not in the way of I'm going to manifest it in the universe. No, you have to literally put it out there. Hey, Bob, do you have any extra computers? Are you thinking about getting a computer? If you hear of anyone that's getting a new computer, can you put them in touch with me or give me their contact so I can see if we can get their old computer? Like, that's fine. You can make it work.
Yeah.
We're all about hacking stuff together.
And remember,
so don't worry about that.
Remember, a budget gaming computer has some pretty good specs. So, I mean, it's not the best, but let's say you needed to, you need to run, you need to run like Easy Worship or something like that. And you also need to do live streaming. You don't want to do those on the same computer because the computer is going to be trying to split its attention. I'm trying to render all these beautiful graphics, and I'm trying to render video and all this. Maybe getting a $500 gaming laptop that you then put Easy Worship on, or ProPresenter, and you run it from there. You may not be able to do like all the super duper, amazing stuff that you want to do, because ProPresenter, is more efficient now, but still takes up a lot of different or a lot of resources. So you have to be judicious in that. But a $500 gaming laptop has got some horsepower and got some chops to it, and then when you're able to get a more robust system, then that one is relegated to being another piece of the puzzle as needed.
Yeah. And you don't have to start streaming at 720, 15 megabit rate, whatever the technology is. Honestly, and I know this is going to hurt some people's feelings, but part of the job means you might have to stream 480p. And people on phones, people on TVs will notice. People on phones may notice.
They probably
but then
won't.
You're going to get the question, why does our quality look so bad? It's like, this is the equipment we have. I bought it from Goodwill. I got a used computer. What we really need is $500 to take it to the next level. Oh, okay. Oh, here you go. Merry Christmas, church, or Jesus, or whatever.
Merry Christmas, Jesus.
People just, it's when you start talking to people, and Bill, I'm not saying this is you. I'm talking to everyone. When you get out of the booth and just start talking to people and sharing your vision and sharing your passion, not only will they say, this is cool, I get it, but they may also say, how can I help? I'm not a techie guy, but how can I help? I can write a check, or I can send a Venmo. Right. You just gotta put yourself out there, and this is coming from an introvert that's incredibly uncomfortable and with that kind of thing.
You'll be surprised how many of the elderly people in your church who are starting to have to rely on this will be willing to front the cash.
Oh yeah,
scary
we
amounts.
Hear stories almost every week now. People send us messages, emails. We see stuff in the group. Our church just got a $10,000 donation.
Yep.
Our church just got a $5,000 donation. Someone just gave me $1,000 for a camera. I mean, God is good.
Absolutely.
And he uses his people. So, get out there and meet and mingle. Real quick too, Bill, Omar wanted to know, I told him about the Sony A6400.
Yes, that's what I was getting towards. Is that now I wouldn't run out and buy this camcorder to be used like it is. This camcorder for me as part of my production company is one I grab when I need a really high quality third camera. I will unhook this one and bring it out. Because I don't use it out in the field, I have made it a really high quality broadcast camera for my live streaming and tutorials and things like that. So, I'm using overkill here because I have overkill sitting in my box, right? If I were going to be buying something for doing what I'm doing right here, even though I'm a Panasonic and Canon house, my camcorders are generally Canons, and my mirrorless cameras are generally Panasonics. I would buy a Sony A6400 with that Sigma lens. That Sigma lens is a $300 to $400 lens, but it's phenomenal. Sigma lenses are just phenomenal. They're very good lenses. And I would have that, and that would be sitting here as my live streaming camera.
So I think when you add the lens, Omar wanted to know, how does that compare, the A6400 with the 16mm Sigma lens? How does that compare to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K?
They both have their strengths. They both have their weaknesses. The Pocket Cinema 4K is a great camera. You have to remember that the Pocket Cinema 4K and the studio camera and the Ursa and all those other things that are coming from Blackmagic are meant for filmmaking and for like live production and for filmmaking, which means you're not going to. You can grab an A6400 and put this lens on it, which that lens will, the Micro Four Thirds version will work on the Pocket Cinema 4K and the 6K, but those are two totally different cameras. This one, the A6400, you could pick it up, slap the lens on, turn it on, leave it on standard, and go shoot something without a problem. The Pocket Cinema 4K, you turn it on, and you have a flat profile. So you're going to be looking at the monitor going, why is it all washed out? I don't know what's going on, because you're new to log color profiles. It's a totally different game. That is a extremely flat profile meant for bringing it in here, hooking it up to my computer and color grading it and making sure that the skin tones are absolutely perfect, doing everything just right in a cinematic fashion and getting cinematic quality color grading. You can do that on the Panasonics, and you can do that on the Sonys, and do that on a lot of these cameras now. You can get that same sort of thing. But on the like the Blackmagics and stuff, you start out with that, And even when you're live streaming, you start out with a very flat profile, and then you open up your color wheels, in vMix, and start color correcting and getting it dialed in the way you want and stuff. So it's just fine. I wouldn't get one. I would get for me, I would add a Sony to my setup here, because it's just a great camera. And Sony's their autofocusing is some of the best in the industry right now. And when you're doing a live stream like this, it really helps to have autofocus so that I can move around and still stay in focus. And if I stepped over there, it would focus on me, versus having to reach up and adjust and reach up and adjust. So let me real quick just hit the other things I'm using, and then we are going to have to close it because I've got a TV show to do. I've got, let's see, so my audio is a Shure SM58. This one is a PG58, which is the SM58 with an on-off switch. But Sony, the Shure SM58s, they're $100. They're bulletproof. They've got really good sound. I absolutely love them. The next up from here is when I actually buy like a Shure SM7B, the super duper major broadcast mic that costs like $500, which is a phenomenal mic. But it's what you hear when you're listening to like talk radio. It's really cool. I use the an Alesis Multimix USB. It's an 8-channel USB mixer. I love it. It's great. I'm mixing on it right now. My bridge from the Alesis is connected to my editing system here, and I have outputs going from it into a PreSonus audio box, which then feeds that vMix system that I'm going here. So I'm mixing on one and sending an output to the other, if that makes sense. So no matter which system I'm recording on, this one or the live stream one, it's just the mixing is happening on one thing. My microphone is actually going into a compressor, which is a DBX 266SX. DBX makes solid compressor limiters. I love it. I think I sound okay, and you don't hear like the little fan, and you don't hear the fan from my Mac Pro running, so that's a good thing. And if you do, please let me know. My monitors are KRK Rocket 5, so they're 5-inch monitors. They're solid. I've been using them for about 10 years. They have a lot of power. They are powered. Each one has an amplifier built into it, and they are rock solid. There's a whole bunch of different flavors of those, and I for studio monitors, I can't recommend KRKs enough. They're really, really good. And then my light is that round bicolor light that I got for Justin and that I got for Bill. It's a flat LED pancake light, and it's bicolor, so I can dial in the exact color temperature that I want in here to match with like the other lights that we have. And then when it comes to software, I'm an Adobe guy, so all my editing is done with Adobe stuff. My live streaming is a mixture depending on where I am and what I'm doing. It's either going to be vMix, or it's going to be OBS, or it's going to be Ecamm. All three of those are great. Ecamm is Mac only, so I can't use Ecamm on a PC, but I can't use vMix on a Mac. So those two together, it's kind of like the power team as far as I'm concerned. And then I've got a switcher here that is the little Stream Deck by Elgato. I'm trying to see if I can show you a quick little picture of this thing. Let's see, there it is. So it's an LCD screen that has push buttons on here, and I can assign them to whatever I want. So I've got one for recording, for streaming, fade to black, fade cut, so I can cut back and forth between that, and I've got different setups and all this. And this interfaces directly with, I create shortcuts in vMix and then put them on here. They have a smaller one that's just like 4 buttons, and they've got another one that's like 32, and this is just the 15. And it works great. It makes it a lot easier to do that than to be grabbing my mouse and trying to find and click. Because once you get your shots and stuff set up, you just need to push a button. And it's about $150. The big one the 32 goes up to $250, and the small one is like $99. So they're really good. Elgato makes good stuff, guys. Can't recommend them enough. They've got good stuff.
All right, cool. Well, that's great. And I know we get a lot of questions on the software as far as how you bring in multiple people from Skype into vMix and layer all this stuff. We'll have to address that at another time because, like Dave said, he's super important. I'm super important. I'm going to go to the studio to make a TV show and just check out all my awesome equipment. You should see I have a whole other studio out in my garage. My name is Dave Curley.
Perfect. That was it. You nailed it.
Wow.
Perfect. That was it. You know, it's like there's two of you here.
Hey, everybody. I hope I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the interruption. I actually earlier that was one of my interns. I had to actually coach him on a couple of things because they're like right in the middle of a shoot. So thank y'all, Justin and Bill, both. Thank y'all for filling in for me as we do that. By the way, y'all, all the stuff that we've been talking about today, this is how we're using what we're using for this type of a setup, like we said. And you know, we encourage y'all to do your church live stream. You know, we've been doing the traditional live streaming for a long time. This type of a setup that we're talking about is something that you can make use of right now, especially during the this whole COVID season, where some of us are still doing virtual church, some of us are doing, you know, quote unquote real church, but we're doing it a different way, or we're doing it, you know, in our office or something like that. So hopefully, between the three setups that you see here, you've been inspired. That's what we want, is for you to get some ideas and to see how you can do a lot with very little, or how you can do a lot with a lot. Either way, regardless, take what you're learning here, put it into action, and use it to go change lives. And we'll see you guys in the next video.